Well, good evening, WNBA women's basketball fans. Glad to see you folks back here on the WNBA 365 network, your 24/7, 365 comprehensive home for everything revolving around the WNBA and the rest of the women's basketball universe on a late night Friday coming away here, folks, from Studio 171 and from Los Angeles, California. Only another two-person show again. What's more, but we'll reiterate, but again, both Tanisha Stewart and Marquez Anderson both sadly on IR right now dealing with the summer colds or summer flu going around, and of course Eric Nemchok, our great buddy, still from today's fast break, doing his thing over there at this point. With that, though, folks, welcome to tonight's late night, half an hour, two-man show tonight on WNBA 365, still in week 3 here for Friday night, June the 3rd, 2016. Joined tonight by our other available outstanding correspondent and colleague, Crystal Thomas, up in Los Angeles, California. Of course, Cal McClure joining you folks here without the mic this evening from Studio 171 in San Diego. Crystal, trying our best to kind of get through the night here. Obviously, though, we had 4 games on the schedule, a couple of good ones. But other than that, everything should be going well for me down here, at least. But how about you?
Good. Just really, really hot, but good.
Not as hot as in Phoenix. It was 111 today down there, and hopefully all my friends that are in Phoenix are staying cool as much as we are here in Southern California. With that, folks, of course, Facebook and Twitter, of course, open for you folks, along with the live chat box. So hit us up on social media tonight, of course, it's at WNBA365, at Calamac3, or at Puck1010 with the hashtag WNBA365, or hit us up on our Facebook page, facebook.com/WNBA365, and of course we'll get to your commentary when we can do so. Crystal, the big talking point this evening, in the WNBA, is the Atlanta Dream on a mammoth run right now with another victory this evening in the Connecticut Sun today from Mohegan Sun Arena, 83-77. Atlanta with their 6th win on the young season, now 6-1 on the year. Tip Hayes, 23 points. Angel McCoughtry, 21. Carla Cortijo with 13. Elizabeth Williams with 11. Lasia Clarendon with 8. Also scoring the night for ATL was Sancho Little with 6. And also scoring was Rachel Holloway with 1. Not scoring tonight was Bria Holmes, Sierra Burdick, and Mattia Ajiban. Rashonda Gray and Megan Simmons both held out of the game by Michael Cooper coach's decision. For the scuffling Connecticut Sun, 16 points out of Alex Bentley, 12 points from Camille Little, 10 out of Jasmine Thomas, only 8 from Shania Gumake, who had a rough game today, in almost 19 3/4 minutes played this evening. Kelsey Bone, 6 points, with Morgan Tuck also with 6 points. Alyssa Thomas and Rachel Bannon both with 5, Kelly Ferris with 4, Jonquil Jones with 3, and Anika Henry Morello with 2, and Shakina Strickland, again, a DNP, citing an injury this evening. So, Crystal, I will say, though, and I believe that our buddy Marquez Anderson, again, did save us on the show a couple, maybe a few, either last week or something. But Atlanta, I think, outside of LA and Minnesota, Atlanta has been by far the biggest surprise in the WNBA this season, of how we really didn't know how this team was going to play during the start of the year, with them having so many problems at the point guard position. But it looks like maybe the trade of Joni Schimmel to New York has helped, but also of how some of these other players and pieces have really stepped up their game so far. And again, now 6-1 on the season. I don't think anyone here, amongst us two, anyone else on the panel or any of our fans viewing us, would have really thought that Atlanta would be at this stage right now. So, Crystal, on a scale of 1 to 10, of course, 0 being, or 1 being the least, 10 being the most, where do you rank your level of surprise in regards to ATL being 6-1 this early in the year through 7 games?
Can you guys hear me? I know I'm not with the mic today.
You're good.
I'm actually surprised. I didn't think Atlanta was going to be 6-1. I thought they were possibly going to be a playoff team, but Atlanta's coming out really well. And to think that it's only mostly Tiffany Hayes, Angel McCoughtry, and some of Sancho Little doing the taking care of the load, but for what they have and for what they're doing, I can't forget Lasia Clarendon, because she's actually been playing very well for them too. How could I forget Lasia? For what they have and for them to be 6-1, it's actually really surprising me. And I don't know if you would have asked anyone in the beginning if Atlanta would be 6-1, I think anybody would tell you no, but they're doing really, really well.
Yeah, Crystal, Atlanta by far is the bigger story, I think. I know that we do have Minnesota and Los Angeles both still unbeaten, but for Atlanta's case, we sat here on the preview show with, Mike and Marquez and all of us and we all were very skeptic or like had very low expectations for this Atlanta ball club earlier in the season. But now they're about to prove all the haters and doubters wrong, Crystal. And again, a 6-1 start for Atlanta, where a lot of people didn't have them at this good pace. But Crystal, what I'm hoping though is this isn't the case of a team, peaking, or getting off to a hot start and then fading off towards the end. We've seen that in recent years, Crystal, with certain teams. Best example, I think it was Los Angeles in 2013, off to a hot start and flamed down in round 1 versus Phoenix, when that was a 2-3 matchup. So, Crystal, is there any perhaps concern, though, perhaps, that Atlanta's off to a hot start? But, could this be, maybe something on the dark side, though, for ATL going forward in regards to, we've seen it, as we said, hot start for a team, but again, not really the most satisfying of finishes towards the end of the year.
You kind of faded out towards the end. I think you pretty much were trying to say, like, hot starts it's too early to tell. Is that what it was? You kind of, like, faded out at the end. Is that what it was? Yeah, I agree. You brought up, LA, which was a perfect example. They did so well. Us LA fans were like, yeah, this is the year. And then they get there just to, no pun intended, spark out towards the end. So I agree. Right now, the early start means nothing. This is so cliche, but it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So if they can finish and keep it up and possibly go to the playoffs and see how far they get, then I think Atlanta fans, I'm not saying Atlanta fans can't be excited, because even as an LA fan, we can't be excited either. The way that they played yesterday, I was even surprised that LA pulled that win off. But, pretty much it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So it's exciting, but right now it's too early to tell anything.
Crystal, Connecticut, on the other hand, trying to shake off imploding implosion loss to the Mercury a couple days ago, and not really the best of games for Connecticut. I think that this previous game with Phoenix kind of shattered their confidence, it looks like, because they came out pretty flat today coming back home. I mean, led up to the first quarter, but again, after that, though, they had a major drop-off in points and scoring, at least 13 points in the second, 15 points in the third to end the game. Had 23 to end the fourth quarter, but ultimately Atlanta took over more so in that second quarter through the third quarter. Crystal, we had kind of touched base on this in regards, again, of how I had brought up, though, on the last show, following their collapse loss to PHX a couple days back on Tuesday, where I'd said, a young team not fully capable or fully sure, I should say, about how to close out a game. Well, this wasn't really a case of them, blowing a lead again, but in a case, though, of them, again, right now showing off, how, a young team, hasn't fully gelled yet, hasn't really gotten, on the same page yet. And that's going to come with time, though, but also, as they always say with good times and bad times, there will be growing pains, though, too, for this Connecticut team. So, Crystal, final observation and take about Connecticut faltering in this game this evening versus Atlanta.
You know what? It's kind of sad that Connecticut lost. I mean, that game was a lot closer than what it was. Sorry if you see feet. My niece is kicking me. But that game was actually closer than what it was supposed to be. Well, it was actually closer than Atlanta would like it to be, rather. It's sad because Connecticut has the pieces there. I just think that they're missing something. They're probably missing a veteran leader, which is something that they don't have. I mean, if you look at Connecticut, they're a really young team, new coach, a lot of new players. Shanae still doesn't look 100% healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But Shanae is back, and they're trying to work her in to possibly play more minutes. But I just think they're missing something. They're probably missing that veteran leader, and I think they're needing Shanae to get healthy. I mean, I don't know from watching her last couple of games that she's 100% healthy. They say she is, but maybe she's just trying to work her way back to basketball shape. But I think they're missing that veteran presence on their team.
By the way, Crystal, Eric is asking why TRP is on the show tonight.
Oh, Eric! I knew somebody was going to do it. I knew he was going to do it. I have no idea where this is. I know where it's coming from, but I do not look like her, people.
This is never ending, folks. In case you wondering, but again, Atlanta defeats Connecticut tonight, this evening, from Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, CT, 83-77. Your final score: Atlanta improving to 6-1 on the season. With the victory today. With that as well, we'll get to the next game this evening, Crystal. Indiana and New York, and the Liberty kind of get their serve up their revenge for last season's exit from the postseason with a blowout of the Fever tonight from MSG. 91-59, Liberty pounding the Fever this evening. Final box score for Indiana this evening. Tiff Mitchell, 11 points. Catch with 10, along with Shanice Johnson, also with 10. Lynetta Kaiser with 7. Marissa Coleman with 6. Also with 6 points was Erlena Larkins. Brianne January with 18. Or, excuse me, check that. January with 4. Natalie Achanwa with 3. Also scoring the night, as well as Deborah Peters with 2. And not scoring the night was Erica Wheeler, Breen Mosley, and, of course, Maggie Lucas. Sadly, done for the year, of course, with that torn ACL suffered in Atlanta a couple games ago. For the Liberty, Sugar Rogers, 21 points. Tina Charles with 13. Shavante Zealous with 13. Swin Cash with 9. Also scoring the night was Kia Stokes with 8. Brittany Boyd and Amanda Zalby both with 7. Shoni Schimmel with 6. Carolyn Swords with 2 points, along with Tanisha Wright and Adut Bolak and Lindsay Harding, a DNP coach's decision. So, Crystal, for the Fever, rough day at the office. Rough day, I mean, just in general, a rough game all around in general for the Fever tonight. 9 points in the second quarter. And the team leader, Tiff Mitchell, only had 11 tonight, so only 3 players in double figures. Obviously, Crystal, this is obviously one of those one bad game you can kind of say for the Fever, but obviously, Crystal, how about your thoughts of lack of scoring from the Fever in today's game?
I mean, you could see that obviously losing Maggie Lucas was a really big blow. I mean, they haven't, even when she was there, they haven't really been able to find somebody who could consistently score for them. I mean, Tiffany Mitchell is doing an outstanding job as that, but it's only one person. You know, they're going to need a lot more. Shanice Johnson, you know, finally came back. She just came back from her concussion, so I think she's still trying to work her way into playing shape and into the game as I get kicked back here. But I think once Brianne January gets her win back and once Deborah Peters probably gets more touches, I think they will be able to get the scoring that they need. But as of right now, there's not anyone who could just constantly do it for them, and that's what they're lacking.
Yeah, no, they're definitely lacking a lot of things right now in some spots and areas. Again, like we said, folks, again, Tiffany Mitchell has 11, and again, Tamika Catchings and Shanice Johnson both with 10. So really a rough shooting night for the Fever today. Shot only 32% from the field and only made 3 of 20 attempts from beyond the arc. They made 15% of their threes tonight, and a lot of players, and actually, folks, the entire Fever roster tonight finishing in negative figures for plus-minus this evening. Tonight, so obviously rough night there. Then, Crystal, you go to the Liberty, and we had talked about Tina Charles being the only player really for the Libs lately, but here again is Sugar Rogers stepping up. But again, now, Crystal, now you're seeing Zealous kind of get hot. Cash kind of kind of getting hot too. So some players are getting hot. Schimmel finding her touch as well. Swords also getting back to as well. So obviously. They still need some other. I still think that they need more players in behind Rogers and Charles. But now that some players are kind of starting to get like this, like clockwork, getting hot again. Overall thoughts, Crystal, about Rogers and Charles leading the way, but other players, coming back to fruition lately with the Liberty.
We always said that there was going to have to be someone else to help Charles, and finally she got the help. We always talked about Charles possibly burning out early and needing help with that. And I think now she finally had the help with Swords, but it was a good win. But how long could it keep up? We always constantly say New York needs someone to help because we don't want Charles to get burned out and that they really don't have that extra scoring. But today they used a pretty good choice of their bench. I mean, Shoni Schimmel got 6 points. We haven't seen her really come off the bench in a while. Zowie B got in there. And Sugar Rogers 21 points for Sugar Rogers. I mean, she just played amazing tonight. But as long as they can keep something going and as long as they can get their bench players the ball a little bit more, I expect more wins for New York.
So again, folks, it is Liberty 91, Indy 59, a final from MSG in New York tonight. Off to the next game this evening from Chicago. The Chicago Sky over the Mystics tonight, 98-72 today from Allstate Arena in our nation's capital. Crystal, by the way, did hop out, so we will keep it a one-man game for right now. First time we've had to do this in quite some time. But for the Mystics tonight, Emma Meesman with 13 points, Stephanie Dolson with 12, Irie Lotta with 11, and Taylor Hill with 10. Also scoring this evening for Washington was Kalia Copper with 7, also with Bria Harley with 7 as well. Kia Vaughn with 6, Jamie Wiseman with 3, Tiana Hawkins with 2, and Tierra Ruffin-Pratt only with 1. Allie Mullet and Natasha Cloud held out of the game, or actually did not score tonight. Allie playing 4 minutes, and Cloud playing 15 and change for Mike Tebow's Mystics. For the Chicago Sky today, Elena Deladon with 18 points, Cappy Pondexter and Allie Quigley 16 each for both of them. Jessica Breland, Erica De Souza, and Tamara Young with 10 each, and Jamira Faulkner with 6, along with Imani Boyette also dropping in 6. Also scoring tonight was Clarissa Dos Santos with 5. Courtney Vandersloot added 1 free throw this evening, and also not scoring, but playing tonight, though, was Benijah Laney and Cheyenne Parker. Laney in 2 minutes of action late in the game, and Parker 6 minutes and change tonight. The game from the Allstate Arena in Rosemont, Illinois. Total pitch tonight, 5,049. Time of the game, an hour, 57 minutes. The officials were Amy Bonner, Daryl Humphrey, and Kevin Sperrick as the 3 officials for today's game. So I think, folks, as you kind of look at this, and again, this is just a one-man game, as Crystal probably had some technical problems to address real quick. But for Washington's sake, folks, and looking things over again, you know, the Mystics folks get outscored 34-17 in the first quarter, and it just seemed like they never were able to respond or have an answer for Chicago at all this evening. And I think that this kind of is a, you know, carryover or a compound of a similar game, a little bit maybe from the second half from Sunday in Phoenix, I think. And once more, again, not a whole lot of production outside of Mieseman, of Dolson, of Lotta, and today Hill for Washington. And again, I'm not too sure here. I think that I don't think there's any disconnect, but I think that right now that with them still trying to ease Ivory Lotta back into the starting 5, that as of right now, Mieseman's going to have to be the player that's going to have to carry the load for the Mystics for the time being, up until they can get Lotta back in the starting lineup. And again, Mike Tebow, and I applaud him for, again, not trying to rush Lotta back into the starting mix at this point for Washington. But again, rough night for the Mystics tonight, shooting 36.7% from the field and 26.3% from beyond the arc, but made 85.2% of free throws this evening. And then for Chicago, as we had talked about, folks, a couple days ago on the program in regards to, you know, when will they, you know, is almost like, you know, when will they get hot, but also when can they get players back to full strength? And with them finally getting Courtney Vandersloot back a couple of games ago, has sort of been not really an improvement, but more so like a added bonus, I think. You know, kind of it's kind of like getting a roster player back on the roster without having to make a transaction, either a trade or what have you, with dropping somebody. But I think, though, tonight that Chicago had really had good ball distribution tonight in regards of how the scoring is pretty much all even Steven for the most part. Again, EDD 18 points, and then there's Cap and Quigley with 16 each. Then you got Breland, De Souza, and Young with 10 each. And then also chipping in was Faulkner and Boyett with 6 each. So again, tonight was probably a better game for Chicago as we do get Crystal back in. Don't worry about those problems again, any problems you may have had, but there's no problem also. I just kind of got through my thoughts on the Mystics and Sky, but how about your thoughts in Chicago winning tonight 98-72?
Chicago, really, Carmen, my bad. Chicago did a pretty good job tonight. They did well. I thought they held their own. That's what people were waiting for. I mean, Chicago needed a game like that for a while, and they were kind of slacking, but they did well, and they proved why they should be not a top team, but why they should be a force in the East, because they haven't really been playing like a top team. But I think it's good that Chicago pulled that win off.
Yeah, kind of, you know, like a statement game saying, hey, we're not going anywhere just yet for Chicago. But again, the Sky routing the Mystics tonight 98-72. Then up in the Pac Northwest, the Seattle Storm blew the roof off of the Phoenix Mercury and Key Arena tonight with some pretty electrifying plays tonight. 95-81 Storm over PHX from Key Arena this evening for the Mercury, who suffer a setback after winning back-to-back games on Sunday and Tuesday. Penny Taylor, 19 points. Again, the only player coming to fruition for the Phoenix Mercury late in the game again was PT. Brittany Griner with 13 points again, but again had some small foul trouble again this evening. Sonia Petrovic, 12 points, along with Izzy Harrison also at 12. Candice Dupree with 10. And then after that, folks, major drop-offs for the purple and orange. Diana Taurasi only has 8 points, 1 of 4 from beyond the arc. The seeding was also a minus 14 in plus-minus rating. Misty Bass with 2, along with Noel Quinn also with 2. Alex Harden, no points in 5 minutes of play. Naira Fields and Courtney Williams, both DNPs. Coach's decision for the Storm. The Gold Mamba, Jewel Lloyd, 32 points, including a highlight reel fast break with both her and Brianna Stewart that hopefully did land on the SportsCenter top 10 plays. Jenna O'Hay, 14 points. Stewart, 14 points. Bird, 14 points. Langhorn, 9 points. Clark with 5. Mosquito Lewis with 3. Gatling and Tokashiki with 2. Bishop, Dietrich, and Wright, all 3 DNPs. Coach's decision. So, Crystal, here we have Phoenix coming off 2 wins. And again tonight, sort of reverting back to the 0-4 Mercury team that we saw shades of and flashes of earlier in the year. Griner with foul trouble, Taurasi with an off night, and Taylor being the only player of his time picking up the slack. So right now, Crystal, there's definitely, I think, some problems with the Mercury right now at this point of the year again, now that they fall to 2-5 on the season. And again, it's been Taurasi one night, Taylor one night, Griner one night, but nothing like this year, which has been a full team effort as of yet this season. Crystal, any thoughts about how Phoenix is, really fallen by the wayside this early in the season now with their 5th loss on the year?
You sound like a robot, but I think I got the gist of what you were saying. Pretty much, they need their whole team to just get it together. They can't have one player one night doing one thing and another player not doing anything at all. And they're also going to need Candice Dupree to get it together. I mean, she hasn't really been playing well since the beginning of the season. Brittany Griner is starting to finally pick it up. Diana Taurasi every night pretty much does well, but they're going to need their bench players to start being more productive if they want to get more wins.
Crystal, my biggest question right now in regards to the Phoenix has not been about, either Taurasi taking the flanks one day, Griner taking the flanks one day, or Taylor doing it, but when are they going to be working in Fields and Williams? I mean, at this point, it really can't hurt the Mercury to try to incorporate those 2 players into the system at this point right now because, there's been so much disconnect in regards to how, we've seen Toronto, like I said, we've seen DT take over one game on Sunday. We've had Taylor take over games for Phoenix earlier in the year. We've had Griner have a big game on Tuesday. But, at this point, Crystal, is there any, thoughts, other than the bench? But, I guess, what's the deal with, Sandy Brondillo not going with Fields and Williams? Because at this point, Crystal, in my mind, it can't hurt to give those 2 a try.
The only thing I could think of, she doesn't think they're ready. She probably doesn't trust them with the unit that she has. But at this point, I mean, they're not doing well with what they do have. So why not throw the rookies out there and let them see what they could do? I mean, they can't be worse than what's been on the floor. And the product that they have on the floor is not so good. I mean, they lack defense. They're not really scoring very well. Diana Taurasi gives up on plays a lot. So I say if I'm her, I just try to go ahead and do something different.
Now, definitely some problems for Phoenix right now. Again, they fall to 2-5 on the season thus far. And Crystal, for Seattle, I mean, Jewel Lloyd, I think, really lit the floor on fire tonight. Of course, the play I alluded to, folks, again, that was a pretty big trend for a SportsCenter top 10 nominee. A little 2-on-1, 3-on-1 break with her and Brianna Stewart, a little volleyball play going on back and forth, and a beautiful layup after a nice dish from Stewie for Lloyd. Again, 2 of her 32 on the night. Shot 66% from the field and 57% from beyond the arc and made all of her free throws and was a plus 20 in plus-minus efficiency tonight. Then, of course, there was Jenna O'Hay as well. Crystal, I believe that and I also want to say as well, KT, that the Storm had either came close to a club record, I think, for threes in the game. They made 12 of their 24 attempts. That's 50% from beyond the arc. So, Crystal, is it more about the overall team player, Jewel Lloyd, taking over a game for the Storm tonight for the victory?
I think Jewel Lloyd played well as always. She improved a lot from last year. Really athletic. That was a nice play. I think Jewel Lloyd probably could have ended that with a dunk, possibly. I mean, that's how high she gets up there. But it was pretty good play. I mean, that lets you know that those 2 are the future. Her, Lloyd, Clark. If they get one more that they can actually depend on like that team's going to be pretty good. I mean, but I think Seattle, I was just really young. They don't have Sue Bird, but I mean, let's be real, she's probably on her way out. So I think Seattle, this was a good win for Seattle. I mean, they beat a team that's supposed to be top in the West, so it was a good game.
And not only that, Crystal, as well, 2 of the Seattle wins have come at the expense of PHX, both at TSRA at the Final Horn, and then tonight with a drubbing of the Mercury on their home court. Folks, to reset your Friday night scoreboard: Atlanta 83, Connecticut 77, New York 91, and Indiana 59, Chicago 98, Washington 72, and Seattle 95, Phoenix 81. Final scores in the WNBA this evening. Crystal, 2 games on the WNBA schedule for Saturday. Well, of course, folks will be off of the weekend like we normally are. Crystal, tomorrow, Dallas will visit Minnesota at 5 Pacific. Then, of course, a rematch of the game from last night, LA, San Antonio, from AT&T Center, also at 5 p.m. So, Crystal, starting out with Dallas and Minnesota. So, tomorrow, both of the unbeaten teams will be playing tomorrow, of course, with Minnesota at home, LA on the road. So, Premises will decide who's going to be 1 and 2 in the Western Conference after it's all said and done. Well, whether either with someone being 6-1 on the year, someone being or one or both being 7-0 when it's all said and done. Crystal, how about your thoughts and a prediction from you for first Dallas and Minnesota from Target Center, Minneapolis again tomorrow night?
I think Minnesota's going to win, but it's going to be a close game. Minnesota has a problem closing out games, but I think Minnesota's going to pull that one off.
Crystal, I agree. I think, though, that Dallas is going to, they're a team that's kind of been like, bend but don't break, I'd say, early in the season. I know they're kind of like hovering at the 500 mark, and they've been there so far. But they're a team, though, that's scrappy, and I think, though, as soon as Diggins kind of gets herself back into full shape, of course, we've seen her, either taking games off or days off, I should say, to kind of, keep progressing with that injury rehab. But I think, though, Minnesota's just deadly at home. They're scary, they're scary good at home. So Minnesota, in my mind, wins. And, of course, Crystal, maybe, as I heard, though, Angie Monaco of Fox Sports Southwest bring up last night on League Pass, that the Stars may have finally found the game plan to beat the LA Sparks. They came pretty damn close last night, but ultimately fell off at the end, with LA winning 68-61. But Crystal, at this point, though, LA has pretty much done their job, though, in regards to being a team that is, really have kept teams on an even keel for scoring from checking our ranking system before night's end earlier today. LA still was getting up roughly, averaging about 68 to 70 points allowed per game on average. So if they're still going to be in that area. But Crystal, coming off of Thursday, I think the Stars, are hungry, of course, for a victory. But how about your thoughts, though, about LA, San Antonio? Give us your prediction for the game.
I think LA will win again. It's probably going to be close, but I don't expect them. I mean, it might be the same thing. I mean, they almost beat LA. I mean, they're the team. I think they're like one of the teams that got within a few points to actually come close to beating them. I know it was heart attack mode for me when I was at the game, but I think LA can beat them if they come out playing the way they did on yesterday. Well, yeah, yesterday. Then I think San Antonio will have their number, but. If they come out playing sharp and playing better defense, because let's just be real, that defense was terrible, then I think that San Antonio won't have a chance.
Yeah, Crystal, I think if LA plays a game, if they play the same game they played against Washington on the road or Seattle at home, those pretty big lopsided affairs, the 30-point and 20-point victory, LA will walk away with a victory easily. But if they play, either at half speed or, go through the motions like we've seen in the past couple games, San Antonio could pounce on an opportunity, but I think that LA, though, I think still is going to leave with a victory. But I don't think, Crystal, like I just said, if they come out playing like they're going to play Seattle like they did the first game of the year or the Mystics on the road, LA could win the game by 20 points. If not, then you expect to see them kind of grind out a game like they did a couple nights ago. But Crystal and I both picked Minnesota and LA to win tomorrow's games for the Saturday pick'em for the game tomorrow. And one quick comment in our chat box from a viewer. First name is, I don't want to screw up your name, but if I do screw it up, so I do apologize. But from Hermaine Granger, who says Phoenix's perimeter defense was bad tonight. Crystal, what do you think about that?
It was bad. That person's correct. Their defense. Phoenix has not looked like a defensive team that they have looked like in the past years. I mean, last year Phoenix was known for their defense. Griner won Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, they're slow. They're looking really slow. They look like an old team. They don't look as young as they did last year. They're not looking as crisp as they did last year. They don't look so good. This isn't the Phoenix team that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely something not clicking with them on defense or offense. But thanks to Hermaine Granger for the comment, and thanks for stopping by and joining us tonight, folks. But with that, though, ladies and gentlemen, we will be off for the weekend like we normally are. We'll be back with you folks here Monday night. Hopefully, we'll be able to have our whole crew back. If not, expect to see Crystal and myself back here for another half-hour program. For Crystal Thomas up in Los Angeles, this is Cal McClurg from Studio 171 in San Diego signing off. Folks, back here Monday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy it. And we'll see you folks back here, like we said, Monday night back here on the WNBA 360. Until then, folks, have a great weekend and good night. Bye-bye.